Hello everyone, and thank you once again for joining us, and welcome to this presentation of how to detect early trends in virtually any market and in any time frame. Welcome once again. My name is Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading, and thanks again for joining us. We had such a great response to the last presentation we had concerning the same topic that we decided to run it again. A lot of people missed it, and even though they watched the video, they would rather ask questions live. So we're basically going over a lot of the same things we went in our last presentation because there was so much interest, and we have a lot of people that are interested in finding out how to detect early trends. But before we begin the presentation, I ask that you please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using our new trend directional tool, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to show you will be repeated in the future. So as you're taking a moment to view that, also for all the people attending, I know we have some new names here. If you've gone to my presentations in the past, you know that I like to take questions at the very end of the presentation. So please write down or try to remember any question you may have. The presentations seem to flow a lot smoother and quicker if we wait till the very end. And as I stated, I have a lot of information to show you, a lot of slides, and I'm also going to show you how to trade this particular tool in just a few moments. I'll show you examples as early as today, how it works so well. So please write down any questions you may have, and I promise I'll get to each and every one of them at the very end. I'll also leave you with a phone number as well as a email address if you'd like to contact us to ask us any more questions, okay? All right, so what is this early trend detector that we've talked about? How can we detect when a trend has started before anyone else knows? Well, we're going to be introducing our new tool, which is the PET-D. Okay, now what exactly is the PET-D, you ask? Well, it is actually an anagram for the Primo Early Trend Detector. Okay, that's the beauty of this tool, is that it doesn't, it's not an indicator which will tell you when a trend begins before it starts, but it will tell you in the very early stages, when it's just beginning, it will tell you if an actual trend is in place or not. Now it's a proprietary color bar algorithm. Okay, we keep it in-house, so we don't really disclose the actual rules behind this algorithm, but it's simply a color bar. And as I stated, it's not a trading system, it's not a trading strategy, although you can trade off it, but it's a color bar algorithm which will tremendously enhance your trading and give you in that higher percentage for a really nice profitable trade. Now here's what it looks like. Let me just show you here. When you get a series of green bars, this is telling you that you are most likely in an uptrend. So this is what you want to see. This is a best case scenario, whereas all the bars are green. Now obviously you can tell we're in an uptrend here, but looking back, what we're looking for is anywhere from 3 to 5 bars that give us a clue, 3 to 5 consecutive green bars that give us a clue we are in an uptrend, well before a trend has been established. Now conversely, if you see a series of red bars, this is telling you that we're in a downtrend. Obviously, it's easy to spot a downtrend here in hindsight, but anywhere from 3 to 5 bars of consecutive red bars is a great, great signal that we are most likely going to continue in that trend. Now, as you see here, we're looking at an older chart of AIV. The beauty of the PET-D is that it tells you which direction you should be trading. See, so many people, so many traders lose money because they're actually trading at odds with the market. Many traders try to pick tops and bottoms, and as I've often stated, I know firsthand because this is the way I used to trade when I first started trading on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for a total of 16 years, and I was a specialist for 9 years, and in my first stages of being a specialist, I had a difficult time because I was trading just like everybody else does. I was trying to pick tops and bottoms. But the beauty of the PET-D is that it puts you in the right direction, and once you really change your mindset into trading with the trend, you'll really see how better you'll sleep at night and how much more profitable your trades are because you're in sync with the market. And that's what the PET-D does. It actually puts you in sync. So once you know the direction of the trend, you can apply a strategy to that direction. Okay? Now, a lot of people will say, well, Steve, we have to wait for news. News gets in the way of the trend. How can you just rely on an algorithm or a color bar tool to tell you when news determines everything? Well, let's go back a few months. Let's go back to May when a lot of news came out on Tesla. Okay, it's an electric car maker, and it defies skeptics in this ad. It said that the electric vehicle manufacturer Tesla reported this past week its first ever profit of $11.2 million as sales of its Model S sedan outpaced even its own optimistic expectations. So this was fantastic news. On this news, the shares surged 24% in the hours after the maker's first quarter earnings announcement. And so this is a great, fantastic news. Most people would say, well, this is great now. This gives me the confirmation to jump in, because I really didn't know where I stood with the company or with the stock prior to this news coming out. But now I know that it's very positive. The company is profitable, so it's most likely going to be in an uptrend. Well, let's look at the chart. If we look at the chart and we see that roughly a month prior to that earnings report, we had consecutive green bars. And in fact, right here, we had anywhere from 5 to 10 green bars telling us that there was going to be most likely an uptrend in place. All right? So as far back as April, a full month before that earnings report came out, you knew because of the algorithm that you were most likely in an uptrend. So you could have gotten involved in Tesla way before the news came out. In fact, a full 40 points earlier. Now, this chart goes up to where the earnings report came out. Where exactly is Tesla pretty much standing today? Well, as you see, this is where we first established a trend change. This is where the earnings report came out. And look what has happened since May all the way up to June. So as you see, we have continued to have consecutive green bars. Sure, from every once in a while you'll see a red, but remember, we're looking from anywhere from 3 to 5 bars in a particular color, that series, to tell us that the trend has been underway. So if you see a series of 3 to 5 red bars in Tesla, well, then you know that the trend has changed. How about something more current? Well, let's look at Facebook. This happened just about a month or so ago. They came out with an announcement. Facebook shares jumped 28%. Wall Street sees more ad growth. Okay, so the shares of Facebook opened 28% higher on Thursday after the company reported a huge jump in mobile advertising revenue. So this is great news. Once again, a lot of people who just rely on news would have looked at this announcement as confirmation that Facebook is now going back up. Perhaps you would have bought Facebook on the IPO and got really hurt. Maybe now you're thinking, well, now it's going up, so I'll decide to hold on to my shares. Or maybe you were on the sidelines, you want to jump in now. So this is good confirmation for all the fundamentalists. Well, if we look back at the chart, though, we see here going all the way back to May and June, we were in a series of red bars telling us that Facebook was still in a downtrend. Then we started to show little bits of green here, but we're still jumping back and forth until ultimately at this point we had anywhere from 5 to 10 green bars telling us that the trend had changed. So we were now most likely going to be headed higher. So well before that announcement came out in July, you knew in advance from the PET-D that we were in an uptrend. Therefore, you could have looked for strategies to tell you when to get in. And this was well before the news came out. You see, so many people wait for news or wait for other tools and indicators to tell them when to get in. The beauty of the PET-D is it tells you many times in advance when a trend has already begun. Now, once again, this chart was just at the very end of July when that news came out. How has Facebook gone so far? Well, if we see here the first couple of weeks of September, we see that it's continued to go even higher. So even had you missed that news report and not had the PET-D, you still could have seen that we are still in green for the remainder of the time in Facebook, and you could have looked for signals in place, points of entry to go long. Now, here are some of the advantages to using the PET-D. As we just showed you, it gives you the security of trading in sync with the current trend. Remember, at Specialist Trading, we always try to encourage our students and members to be in sync with the trend. Why? Because every once in a while, if you try to pick a top or bottom, that will work, just like every once in a while the slot machines will work, and they'll give you this false sense of security that you're actually doing well. But over time, look at your account and you'll see that you really haven't done very well picking tops and bottoms. And once again, I know firsthand because this is the way I used to trade. It's much more conducive to having higher probability gains if you trade in sync. And that's what the PET-D does. It gives you the security of trading in sync with the current trend. Now also, another advantage to the PET-D once you become a member and join Specialist Trading and sign up for the PET-D course is that it can also be applied as a stop placement method. We teach you how to do this in the course. But I think the most important and what most of our members are more interested in is that it supplies you with numerous trading techniques that are based on the color bars. Now these are trading techniques. They are not actual strategies, but these are techniques telling you when to get in and when to enter within a strong trend. So what we're going to do today is share with you a trading technique. This is where a lot of people wanted us to rebroadcast this particular webinar because they're very interested in seeing the PET-D work within this trading technique. So I'm going to show you some old examples to show you just to see how the technique works, but then I'm going to show you some very recent examples, in fact examples that happened as early as today. So let's start off and see what this actual trading technique is. And remember, once again, for all of the people that may have come in a little bit late, please, if you have any questions concerning what I'm going to be going over in the next 20 minutes, just write them down and we'll cover them within the last 10 minutes of the presentation, okay? Thank you very much. So let's go on to see what this technique is. Well, here are the requirements. Obviously, you need the PET-D to tell you the trend and to be in sync with the trend. And then you need to be able to spot and identify an inside day bar pattern. And that's it. Now, for those of you who aren't really familiar with what an inside day bar pattern is, it's a 2-bar pattern. All right? You simply need 2 bars to identify this pattern. And to give you the definition of an inside day, inside days are days where the chart bar has a lower high and a higher low than that of the previous day. Okay, so if we're looking at 2 particular days, or it really doesn't matter if it's a daily bar. This could be a 5-minute bar, it could be a monthly or a weekly bar. But what we're looking at is a situation, an example that looks like this. Okay, you have 2 bars. Once again, it wouldn't matter if these bars were 5 minutes or if they were monthly bars. It doesn't matter. And what we're looking for is for the second of these 2 bars, it's high to be lower than the previous bar, and it's low to be higher. So you want a lower high and a higher low. Basically, the range of this second bar is inside the previous day. That's where you get the name inside day. Okay? So that's what we're looking for. That's the pattern we're looking for, an inside day accompanied with the PET-D tool. Now, if we want to buy, this is what we should look for. We want to look for both bars of an inside day pattern to be colored green. Okay, we're going to apply the PET-D and we're going to look for that inside day pattern, and both of those days must be colored green because this is our signal that a quick upward momentum may continue. So this is what we're looking for. If we see 2 green bars and both of those bars represent an inside day pattern, this is a strong buy signal. Now conversely, if we want to go short, well, we're going to look for both bars of an inside day pattern to be colored red. Okay, we're looking for that inside day pattern, and now with the PET-D applied, we want to see that both bars are red. Why? Because this is our signal that a quick downward momentum move may continue. And this is what we're looking for. It's the same inside day pattern, regardless of being day bars or 5-minute bars or weekly bars, but now both are colored red. This is a strong sell signal. All right, so let's look at some older charts. Let's start off with Apple, and we'll go in different time frames and in different directions. Let's go back to Apple and just first start out with a weekly chart. We see here, going back to the beginning of the year, Apple was in a very strong downward trend as represented by the PET-D. The majority of all these bars were red. Remember, once again, from time to time you will see little short pop-ups of green here and there, but what we're looking for is consecutive bars of a particular color. So if we saw 3 green bars, this would give us a clue that we're most likely changing trend to the upside. But if you see 1 or 2, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just a quick pop. So as we can see here, the majority of the bars are red, and now we're looking for that inside day pattern. As we see, here's one right here. We have the second bar of these 2 bars inside the range of the first one. So this would tell you that we're going lower, a quick momentum move to the downside. As you can see, in the next couple of weeks, Apple went down 70 points. So you could have easily applied options or had a small lot. We realized this is expensive $500 stock at the time. You could have purchased options. Either way, you would not have looked to go long because the trend was going lower. So this, if you had not wanted to do anything, this tool would have kept you out of losing money had you decided to pick a bottom in Apple. Well, later on, we see there's another inside day pattern right here, and then we had in 1 week a quick 40 points to the downside. All right, so let's go down to a smaller time frame. Let's go down to daily bars. All right, at the end of last year, starting at the beginning of this year, we were in a sustained move downward at the very end of the year. And so all within this downward move, we saw some nice inside days. There's 50 points to the downside. Here's another inside day pattern on a daily bar, another 80 points to the downside. And then something interesting happened here. We saw that we started to move higher, or before that we had one more 40-point move to the downside. But now we started to have consecutive bars up, and we had 3 green bars here telling us that we're most likely going to be going higher. So here was an inside day as well to the upside. So you had a quick move of 30 points. Okay? But now we change back to at least 3 more red bars telling you not to look for inside days to the upside, and you look for inside days to the downside. Here's a quick 10, 20 points down. Nothing really happened much here. So we continue to go lower, another inside day to the downside, 70 points lower. See how simple this is. Why? Because you're trading in sync with the help of the PET-D tool. Now, if you want to be an intraday trader, you can also apply this. Here's a 5-minute chart of Apple. And as you can see, for the first part of this day, the majority of the bars were colored green. So if the majority bars are green, we're looking for inside days with 2 of the bars colored green. And here's one, a quick 5 points. All right, remember, we're only looking at a 5-minute bar chart, but in an hour or so, you could have made quick 5 points. And then the bars turn to red, and so we now have 4 points to the downside on an inside bar. Okay? Now, let's look at some stocks and ETF examples, okay? Let's look at some other stocks and ETFs. Now you know how it works. Let's look at some other examples here that are fairly current. Let's start off with Tesla. Now remember, we stated how Tesla had this tremendous move up and how even if you had missed that news report, you could have easily gotten in. Look at all of the inside days all along the upside as Tesla's gone higher. Once again, we know this is an expensive stock. You could have applied options, or even if you wanted to trade odd lots, you see how Tesla, even from way before that announcement came out that how well the company was doing, you could have had a lot of second chances to go along the company. We also talked about Facebook. We got you in well before that news came out in Facebook, way back here, okay? But even if you had missed that, there were still a lot of inside day patterns after that news announcement came out. How about ABX? When ABX, along with gold, was headed much, much lower, it was in a strong downtrend. All of the bars here are colored red, and we had really nice signals to go short with 2 inside days colored red to the downside in ABX. Now gold, this is before gold had a move. This was taken, the snapshot was taken right at the beginning of September before it started to go south a little bit. But just to show you how we changed trends here from going down where the majority of bars were colored red to how in the middle of July we changed to the majority of bars going up. So it's so easy just to be in sync with the trend, knowing you can look for inside days to the downside, and then once the trend changes, you look for inside days to the upside. Then we have an inside day to the downside for a short move, and then back to resuming upwards. And you can take these quick little gains and get in and out rather quickly. You can also use this as a directional tool for indices. Here's a chart of the IWM, the ETF for the Russell 2000 index. And so looking back, as we look back at this, we see that we could have used this as a directional tool, which would have told us or given us a really nice clue as to what the direction of the market is. And so we could make our decisions based off of what we thought the market was doing. So we see here that the majority of the market was headed upwards, and then it started to go in this kind of zigzag phase, which would have kept us out of trouble, but then headed upwards again. And if we look all along the way, we see that we had these really nice inside day patterns. Let's look at some EMINI examples. Now, I know a lot of EMINI traders like to trade intraday. This works just as well intraday. Here's a chart, a 60-minute chart taken about 3 weeks ago, an hourly chart where coming into this, we had some really nice consecutive green bars. We kind of switched over, started changing, and then we changed back to green, but then ultimately went to red. Okay, so how could we have applied this inside day bar pattern? Well, as we see here, as we were headed upwards, we could have had some nice quick trades. Now, each one of these little moves here is roughly about 5 points in the EMINI. So that's still a nice quick trade you could have done if you just would have taken one of these and been out 5 points later. Now, I specifically showed this example just to show you that it doesn't work 100% of the time, just to show you that we're not cherry picking and giving you the best examples. This was an inside day bar pattern with 2 red bars. So this would have said that the market was going lower, but as you can see, it really didn't head much lower. In fact, it went higher. So this would not have worked out. But it was giving you a clue as to the short-term direction coming up in the next few days, because later on, we certainly did turn all bars to red, and then you had some extremely, extremely nice signals there to go short. How about a daily chart? Well, going back to last year when the market was really trending straight up, you had all bars colored green, and you had all these instances where you could have gone long, taken a quick in and out trade for 1 or 2 days. And then lastly, looking at a 5-minute chart, this was, I believe, last week when the market was really rising strongly in EMINI. On a 5-minute chart, we were going straight up. So a lot of people will say, well, you know, the market has gone at this point far too high for me to do anything. I think I'll just sit back and wait. But if you use this technique with the PET-D, you'll see that there are a lot and lots of inside day patterns, which are basically giving you a signal that the market is going higher. So there's no need with this tool and with this setup I'm sharing with you today to sit on the sidelines. You're always given a lot of chances to get into the market. Now this also works with the Forex markets. I know we have some Forex traders out there today, and the Forex markets are great trending markets. And so this works extremely well with the Forex markets if you like to look at daily and even weekly bars. Let's look at a daily bar of the Australian dollar. Until recently, the Australian dollar has been pretty much headed straight down, and then the first week of September it started to head upward. But as it was going lower, we had these really nice signals to go short, okay? These inside day patterns, okay? Nothing much happened here as the market was trying to decide if it was bottoming out or be going lower, but here we started to head upwards again, and we had a nice inside day pattern to the upside. It doesn't seem like a lot with these bars, but for those Forex traders who trade this know that roughly each one of these increments is roughly about $1,000 or $2,000. Here's a weekly chart of the euro-yen. It's basically going straight up into this year, the first portion of this year, and all the time it was going up, the PET-D and the inside day pattern was giving us signals to go long. Now this also works intraday. If you're an intraday Forex trader, we have a 10-minute chart of the US dollar, Canadian dollar. This was basically last Monday, a week from this past Monday actually, and the Canadian dollar was headed much lower on a 10-minute time frame, as represented by the bars nearly all in red. All you had to do was look for that inside day pattern, and basically it was giving you tons of opportunities to go short the Canadian dollar on an intraday basis, especially this last one right here before it fell out of bed. Now, as I stated, the Forex markets, in my opinion, have the best trends around, and if you catch them, you can really pick up some nice gains. And I specifically wanted to show you this older chart. It's a monthly chart in the British pound to show you how well the PET-D worked and how well this technique works that I'm sharing with you for free. Now, going back to 2006, we started to see that we were in a nice sustained upward move as all the bars were painted green here, okay? So all along the way it was going up, we could have spotted these nice inside bar patterns. Now, each one of these bars is a month, but once again, these are thousands of dollars you could have made even if you had only held for a couple of days. But right here at the very beginning of 2008, what do we see? Well, the majority of the bars turned to red now. We have 3 bars, consecutive bars, so this is telling us that most likely the trend has changed. Even though the British pound really overall has not headed much lower, the PET-D was signaling that we're pretty much most likely going to be headed lower. So you could use this as a stop tool, or you could use this to actually enter at this point. And then, as we see later, it was a great warning of what was to come in the British pound. Now, a lot of people say, well, Steve, how could I use this? I'm not a day trader, and I'm not an intraday trader or a type of swing trader, but I'm really an investor. How could I use this as a long-term tool? How could I apply this to my IRA or some type of long-term positions I like to have, or even to use as a directional tool of what I thought the market was doing? All right, well, let's look at a monthly chart going back about 19, almost 20 years of the S&P index. The S&P index is labeled here $INX. That's the symbol for the S&P. All right, this is just the index, okay? But the index can give you an idea of where we're going and what the market is doing. Basically, the S&P covers 500 of the top stocks. And so, as you can see here, looking back all the way back to 1994, 1995, we had this tremendous run-up going all the way till we topped out here in 2000. And this was, I believe, the internet bubble when we topped out, and then we literally fell out of bed till 2002, 2003. Then we bottomed out and then started to go all the way back up to the old highs until we reached here at 2008 when the banking and housing crisis set in, and then we basically crashed. Once again, we bottomed out in roughly mid-2009, and this is what we've been doing ever since. Now, looking back, say you wanted to use this as a directional tool for your investments, your long-term investments, or just having a feel for what the market was doing. Wouldn't it be nice to know when we kind of change trend in advance? Because we really changed trends a lot here in the last 19, 20 years. Well, with the PET-D, you'll see that it is so versatile. It not only works on 5-minute charts, but you can also apply it to monthly charts. Now, wouldn't you have liked to known that we were continuing higher, much higher, until we got into the first 3 months of 2000, when you could have exited all positions, or at least decided not to buy anymore, maybe move some stops to unchanged, and then could have avoided all this downward move. And if you're an aggressive trader, you could have actually gone short until we saw in 2003, 3 to 5 consecutive bars on the green side. You would have covered your shorts and decided to go long. You would have caught all the big move up until the first 2 or 3 months of 2008, when we got into the banking crisis. So you would have exited everything, or else if you're an aggressive trader, you would have actually looked to gone short, and you would have caught this entire move to the downside. Once again, if you were just an investor, all you had to do was say, well, I'm going to sit back on the sidelines and wait for consecutive green bars, which would have happened right here in mid-2009. And from then on, you would continue to be long, just monitoring the long-term PET-D. You see how simple this is? What a great versatile tool this is, how you can use it in any market, in any direction, and in any time frame. And you can use it not just to trade off of, but to give you a really strong feel as to the direction of the market. So right now, if you're an investor, remember, we realize if you're a swing trader or an intraday trader, this really wouldn't really come into attention here. But if you're an investor, you see how important this tool could help you. And you could catch all these swings to the upside, to the downside, going back up, back down, and then currently to where we are right now. All right, so let's recap. Remember, the PET-D is a simple trading technique, all right? We share with you this technique of the inside day bar pattern, that 2-bar pattern. We share with you this simple trading technique using the PET-D that pinpoints quick momentum moves in any direction and in any time frame. It doesn't matter if you're virtually a Forex trader, or if you're an intraday EMINI trader or a stock trader. You see how versatile and how well this works in all those different markets. Here's one thing we want to remind you, though, and please be assured that the PET-D is not an indicator nor a strategy. In other words, you can't just simply trade off it. Just because you see one green bar, it doesn't mean to go long. Or if you see one red bar, it doesn't mean that you should be going short. What it is that it's a unique color bar tool that's based on momentum. And it's designed to show you in advance, as we just shared with you many examples, when a trend has most likely begun. But points to remember, it's not a complete strategy, all right? It's best used as a directional tool. And remember, you still need to learn about entry points. Where are you going to enter? Should you just enter at the close of that second bar, or should you wait for some entry point once you have the 2-bar pattern? What about stop placement? I showed you a couple of trades that were wrong and that didn't work out. Where would you have placed your stop? And how about money management? How many shares to trade, or how many contracts to trade? Okay, these are all important things. I know a lot of students and people that have attended past webinars will say, well, Steve, you shared so much with me, now I know how to do it on my own. But basically, let's look at this example. Someone could say, it's really simple. All I need to know is the trend and then apply the inside bar, because I'm sure if I had the PET-D, we would be in a downtrend right now. Okay, so all I need to know is what direction the trend is. And most likely, looking at CRM here, we're in a downtrend. And now I see an inside day bar pattern here. So this is telling me that I should be going short, right? Because even though I don't have the PET-D with me and accessibility to it, most likely we're in a downtrend here. We've been going lower, making a series of lower highs and lower lows. So this is probably a great short. So I think I'll sell. And then guess what? Look what happens, okay? Remember, you still need to have the PET-D, obviously, but you need to know where to place your stop, where to enter, and you need to know about money management, which are the things we teach in the course. Now, if you had the PET-D, and you would have applied it to this example, to CRM, you would have seen that, sure, we were in a strong downward move until we got to right here. We started to see that we were changing trends, but even so, at this point, we needed 2 red bars to go short. And as you can see, one of the bars was red, but the other was green, telling you that this was not a valid signal to go short using the inside bar pattern. Okay. Now, if you had the PET-D, once again, you would have sidestepped that, but had you waited, you would have seen that there was actually an inside day bar pattern here. and you could have used that to go long. And rather than have a losing trade and hold on to CRM as a short, you could have just sidestepped the losing trade and used the PET D to help you get long and have a winning trade. Now, I want to invite all of you to become members of Specialist Trading and purchase the PET D at a special discount. Okay, this price of the PET D is usually the course and the application runs $12.95. We reduced it once again for all of the people attending our presentation again for a second time down to $9.95. But this is just for a limited time only. The reason why it's for a limited time only is because we've had such a strong response to the PET D tool, also from people that have back tested it and beta tested it for us. And they have almost convinced us that we should actually be licensing this tool rather than just giving it to people to have for a lifetime. So we're thinking and seriously considering licensing this on a yearly basis. You'd have to pay anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a year to have it, whereas if you purchased it right now for $9.95, it would be yours for life. So it's up to you. Once again, we are considering going in that direction. So this is a great discount to have. Let me just show you some things that happened in the last few days. Okay. Now, Safeway, SWY, had some news come out concerning the company. I believe there was some news that was there was news that a company wanted to have a hostile takeover, and so the stock actually went up, and a lot of people are jumping on board the bandwagon trying to get involved in it. But had you had the PET D before that news came out about people being another company being interested in the stock, you could have seen that, well, we've already changed to an uptrend, and we have, what do we have here? 2 days ago, we formed that inside bar pattern that I've taught you about today. So you could have gotten long well before any of this news came out. And so this was taken as of today. There was a quick 3 to 4 points you could have made to the upside, and who knows how much higher this stock will go. So we'll maybe reference this in future webinars to show you if you had taken advantage of this. But this just happened in the last couple of days. Now, something I want to show you that did happen as early as today. Now, we all know that everyone was waiting on the Fed announcement, and be honest with you, I don't even know what the announcement was with the Fed because we don't really care or concern ourselves with news at Specialist Trading. We're more interested in learning how to listen to the market. Now, with the PET D applied, we see here going back as early as roughly about 10 o'clock Pacific time, all of the bars turned green on a 5-minute time frame. So this was your signal that the trend was up. We realize that people like to wait for an announcement, and that's fine. We never force anyone to trade if they don't want to. But if you were like us and many of our members who did just say, we're not concerned with news, we only listen to what the market is telling us, well, the market along with the PET D was telling us that we're going higher. Okay? So if you had the PET D already, the way some of our people have purchased it in the last week, you would have seen that we had some really nice inside bar patterns here. One at roughly 10:10 this morning Pacific time, and another one at 10:45, 10:50. So you could have been long well before the announcement came out and the market went up 27 points. Now let's just say you're one of these traders that likes to wait for an announcement. Well, that's fine, because had you waited and still applied the PET D, you could have seen that there was an inside bar pattern there, giving you another chance to get long. You could have possibly made another 10 points, or another inside bar pattern here to get long, or even another one here to get long. Okay? So do you see how well this tool can help you? This was today. This was just a couple of hours ago, and I wanted to make sure that we all saw this, that we're not just cherry-picking the best examples from the past couple of weeks or a month ago. This was as early as today, and then the Safeway example was about 3 or 4 days ago. So having purchased the PET D the way some of our new members did last time we gave this presentation, they could have taken advantage, and some did take advantage of the great signals we had today, intraday on the E-mini. So this is why I'm urging you and inviting you all to take advantage of this discount we have. The PET D is a great roadmap for any market. Remember, it's a proprietary, I stress proprietary color bar algorithm. We don't disclose what the rules are, but mainly remember, it's not a trading system or strategy. It's just a tool the way you would look at any other tool that helps you get on the right side. Now, this includes add-ons for Metastock, for TradeStation, as well as for NinjaTrader. So if you trade any one of those platforms, you can get an add-on that will automatically color the bars green or red for you. We also, in the course, give you 4 different trading techniques. 2 continuation trading techniques that are basically looking for the market to continue in the same direction, and then 2 pullback trading techniques where you're looking for pullbacks using the PET D. We also explain a trailing stop technique with this. And remember, you can apply this to any market regardless if you trade stocks, E-minis, or the Forex markets. And then lastly, I give you my personal email address where if you want to contact me with any questions, how to trade the PET-D, or if there was a certain signal in a certain market, I can check it for you and answer any question that you may have. Okay. Once again, we gave this presentation in our last presentation. We had many people jump on board. I'm sure they've already paid for the price of this great tool already if they've taken some of the signals that we just generated in the past week. The price is usually $12.95. For all the people today, we're reducing it down to $9.95. But remember, we're really strongly considering licensing this. We've got such a strong feedback. We feel we may be giving it away for people for a lifetime. So if you want to purchase this for a lifetime, you can have this right now at $9.95 before we most likely raise the price and only issue it in terms of years at a time. Okay. So if you have any questions, we can take them now. Remember, if you're interested in this or any one of our strategies at Specialist Trading, you can go to our sister site, which is ProTraderStrategies.com. That's where they individually sell all of our different courses and all of our different techniques. Or you can contact Don Jans. He's our senior trade representative. You can contact him at donjans@ProTraderStrategies.com, or you can call him directly at area code 310-492-5393. Now, if I can just take a few moments to open up the question and answer box, if I see any questions. Bruce is asking, is there a trial period? No, Bruce, there really isn't a trial period. We don't really have trial periods for a lot of our products. Is that we're really giving you everything there is. In other words, with the add-on, we also teach you all of these different strategies and all this information. In fact, things that I've accumulated in my 36 years, so we feel that they're that valuable. You're really getting a lot of information along with just the add-on tool. So, and we really feel that confident that you'll be able to make the money back for the price of this. As I just showed you the last couple of examples, just today alone, I'm sure with 27 points in the E-mini from those first couple of signals, that's roughly about $1,300 per contract. That would have covered the price just trading one contract in the E-mini. Mel asks, can I put it in more than one computer? I believe, Mel, you can, but I think you can only run it at one at a time. I'm not really sure. That would be a good question to contact Don. I just use it on one computer myself. I don't see why you couldn't, but probably Don or our VP of Operations, Brett, could probably answer for that a little bit better. John also asked, will it work on other bar types? Sure, it works on, remember, it has really nothing to do with what the bar type is. If you're looking at line bars or point and figure or Renko bars, it can work on those as well. It's just a color bar tool. You may want to just edit and make some of the bars not as dark or not as flamboyant on some of the, like say, if you were using candlesticks, just so that it would come out. But I use them on candlesticks. I use them on Renko bars as well. So you can see how they work out well with other bars as well. But it's basically just telling you the trend. That's really all it's showing you. And then we show you different strategies on how to trade with the trend. Any other questions while you have? And once again, if you happen to come up with a question once we've concluded, please write down these numbers or Don Jan's email address, and we'll answer any question that you may have. I see that we're responding that we are currently giving it for up to 2 computers with this deal. So that answers your question, Mel. Thank you for answering that. I believe that's Brett. So if you have up to 2 computers, we're currently giving you the add-on for both of those. So Mel, it's a great tool. If you like to look at 2 different computers at the same time, it's a great tool that you can be running. And you can be looking at different markets at the same time. Remember, contact us at donjans@protraderstrategies.com, or you can call him directly at the number provided as showing you there, 310-492-5393. Now, I personally, I use this. I have been using this tool for a long time, but I didn't have it, the algorithm set up so that I was have a color bar strategy or system, I should say. What I was using, I was figuring out by hand, and it was very difficult to use on an intraday basis. So I was basically using it just for daily bars. When we decided to come together, Specialist Trading, and work with our programmers to make it accessible in a color bar algorithm, everything just opened up, and we got to see how well it works in different time frames and different directions. Um, Bruce is asking, sorry, you're not interested. That's fine. We totally understand if you're not interested. If you want a trial, that's perfectly admissible. We just feel that 36 years of experience of you know, from what I've taken in and learned and what I've been using for more than that really comes into play, and that we just don't want to give everything out for free. But we totally understand if you're scared or frightened about, you know, losing your hard-earned money. We totally understand, and it's probably best for you to go to something that will give you a free trial so you'll feel secure. We don't want anyone feeling insecure when they're trading with Specialist Trading, but as I stated at the beginning of the presentation, we're an educational company, and we're providing you with 36 years of education that I've accumulated, and so that's well worth the price alone of all of our tools and strategies, okay? Any other questions while you still have me? This is, once again, a limited time, so if you're thinking and really interested in this, we urge you to take advantage of this. Mel asked one more time, if my computer breaks down, can I put it into the new computer? I would assume so, yes. It's just an add-on, and we give you the code, and I assume that you could, but I once again would probably have you contact our VP of Operations, Brett Marr, so he can probably answer that for you better, okay? As I stated, I just use it on one computer and it works fine. Dale, yes, you can order online, but what I think you should do is if you go to ProTrader Strategies, what you'd want to do is contact there, or send. The best thing would probably have them send you the link so that you can get the discount. Because if you go online, I'm not sure if that discount, that special $9.95, Dale, is on there. So I would probably, if you don't want to talk or speak to anyone, just email them and have them email you the online link with the discount, and you can go online and order it there, Dale, okay? As you saw in those two examples I just showed you from the last week, even the last day, once again, we're not promising or guaranteeing you we would never do anything like that, but we're just showing you the strength of this tool and how well it works. Last week when I had this presentation, I showed some other current examples from the last week of how well it worked then. So had you had this tool in the last 2 weeks, I'm sure if you had taken most of the signals that this one technique would have generated, you would have more than likely paid for the cost altogether. So once again, this is not a guarantee, but we really feel that confident that this tool is going to help you out and elevate your trading, with mainly putting you in sync. It's been my experience, once again, in all my years of trading, that most people lose money mainly because they're out of sync. From time to time, you will get lucky and pick a top or a bottom. Once again, I say this firsthand because this is the way I used to trade, and I would think that I had it made until I had one trade that didn't work at all and I gave everything back. And I'm sure a lot of you are probably going through the same experiences. So it's much more conducive to having a nice upward slope in your equity curve if you just simply learn how to trade with the trend. But most people have very difficult time. They don't know how to discern what the trend is. They'll say, well, one webinar a guy said to look at the higher time frame to find out what the lower time frame is. Another one said to look at this special indicator that he came up with, and that's the only way to determine what the trend is. Well, we really feel confident that the PET-D, once again, is something I've been using for years, but I've had to hand calculate, will really help take your trading to the next level, because now we've just put into an algorithm that just makes it easy for you. So as you've seen with all the examples I went over, going back years, going and using it on the index, the S&P index, going back 19 years, you see how well that would have worked. You could have just used it alone to help with your long-term investments if you didn't want to trade with it. Once again, a great tool. We really feel it pays for itself, and we're not trying to scare you. This is not a promotional technique or gimmick, but we really think that we're going to be licensing this in the future. So if you want to take advantage and own it for life and not have to relicense the fee every year, it's a steal at this price. So we urge you all to contact us. Remember, if you're interested in finding out more about the PET-D and have some questions, contact Don Jans. He's our senior trade representative. You see his email address right there, donjans@protraderstrategies.com, or call us directly at 310-492-5393. Now, next presentation, we'll probably be talking about something else or another tool or another strategy. So if you're interested in the PET-D, now's the time. But I want to thank you so much for attending our presentations. Remember, we are an educational company. We're here to educate you. Even though we provide you with tools like the PET-D and different strategies, we're more about educating you so that you can empower yourself with all of the information I've accumulated so you can trade on your own. I want to thank you so much for attending the presentation. I look forward to all of you purchasing the PET D and becoming members of Specialist Trading. Thank you so much for attending. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.